Part 4. We're doing 4 story times today. My mom went to the school, Minnesota School of Business. There was a program, and I think you had to be, I don't know what, in like a low income or whatever like that. And like I say, we did not know we were poor to a certain extent because we had food. So I never really thought about money until I was really in my 20s. I'm talking about money far as really looking at the paper and seeing, damn, that's not a lot of money. 10,000, 15,000 a year. Now, when I first looked at the paper, when I did my first time I did taxes, or I think I asked a request from my IRS and how much I made. And I think what I'm going to do, man, I'm about to try to find out a way, because I want to know how much I made in my whole life, and since in my 20s and all that. I want to know, because I think that's important to kind of think. We did not look at money how I do now. We didn't look at, I remember one time my mom had told me, it don't pay to make over $10 an hour, $7 So that poverty mindset, don't invest. What? Well, it's going to be the end of the world. They hit me with that end of the world stuff until my balls went blue. It's like, well, it's not the end of the world yet, Mom. And it's not the apocalypse yet. What the fuck am I supposed to do until then? Well, you just keep living. Don't invest. What? And I'm looking at my grandma's house like, well, they invested. They had like 2 damn properties. What the hell? Like, what? But lack of male leadership. I gotta do a post-mortem analysis. That's gonna be on my new series, post-mortem analysis. What happens when you're dead? My dad didn't lead right. My dad didn't have the male leadership. When they were growing up in Mississippi, his dad, remember I told you, Cadillacs, cocaine, and white women. His dad would show up in Mississippi once, twice a year in a big ass Cadillac, peel off my dad's mom or grandmother with some money and head back to Chicago in his Cadillac. Civil rights generation baby boomers. We're learning how the baby boomers operated, man. Post-mortem analysis. We learning they messed shit up. We have the documents and paperwork to prove it. They're the reason why we're in this mess. And now we got to clean it up. By the way, they say there's more black, and this is from AI. AI ain't lying. There's more black marriages in the state of Minnesota than anywhere in the state, in the U.S. So, as much as I criticize certain things about my town, y'all got to take that hit. There's more black marriages in the state of Minnesota than anywhere in the United States of America right now. So sisters and brothers are getting it together. They're seeing that there's power and dynamic. So now, my pops, what he failed to do, he did not acquire a home. My mom's going to lead. My mom's in this marriage. My mom believes that a man's the lead. That's what she did. She did what she was supposed to do. So in her efforts, now when my dad left the house, and we'll go back, but when my dad left the house, she's talking about, well, if you make over $10 an hour, it ain't worth it. So now I'm thinking, well, that's not enough for me. And she's saying, well, you gotta go to the service. I wasn't doing that, because I ain't believe black man should be in the service at 16, 17. I ain't doing that. Get a job or college. So I'd work, and then I started looking for school stuff and all of that, and I still be kind of hustling a little bit. So, when I got out of high school, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. I probably should have took an IT program right away, but I didn't want to go to MCTC, because it just felt like another high school again. I said, if I go to something, I'm going to go to some shit where I can really get it together, because I just didn't want to just go. And I'm gonna keep it real with y'all. What folks used to do to MCTC, the scam back then, was to get a grant And this is what the hood rats used to do a lot of times too. Some dudes would do it too. Get a grant, they get a car, vacation, kick it, do it, hang in the club, whatever. That was a whole thing in Minnesota. So it was just like a party. It was like South High 2.0. It was literally, and you had a lot of folks that would go there, and now they're in college, so they all sedity with it now. Like, and that ain't no major college. They go right downtown, and I'm telling y'all because I know what folks used to do. They would go to that school. Because the reason why I'm telling y'all this is because when I see people now, when you hear their story, when they were going to that school, that was back when we was 18, 19. 10, 15 years later, when you run into some of those folks, man, what you been up to? Man, folks been strung out. Some of them turned to streetwalkers. You know what I'm saying? So it didn't do. But anyway, so that was a thing that we were supposed to do. My mom went to the Minnesota School of Business. Let's go back to 95, 96, maybe 97. Could have been 98. I don't know. Maybe a little before that. But she probably thought at some point, he's not going to bring us into the promised land. He's not stable. He didn't buy a house. The property was in my mom's name. So, my mom at some point was kind of like, okay, well, this ain't, the math ain't mathing. This situation ain't going to change. So it seemed to me that she was okay kind of living in this townhouse to the rest of her days. I guess she felt it was shelter. And at some point, I'm kind of like, for me, I'm like, no, this ain't the end. I gotta have more. I can't just live into this. And see, the thing is, remember y'all, down there where the bridge fell, down in River Bluff, there was going to be a thing at some point where there was going to be a thing at some point where they were talking about making those upscale apartments, because that was prime property down there. And I need to do a story about that too. It's prime property. I need to go down there and walk around and stuff like that. It's prime property. Prime. Right on the river. She was going to wait, because usually they'll pay people to move. I don't know how much it would have been. But that's one thing, that she was just going to stay there until, because eventually it was just her. But she stayed there till pretty much the rest of her days. But when my mom started going to the Minnesota School of Business, my dad was still in the house. That was problematic. They had arguments about it. He had a problem with her going to that. But I guess at some point she was like, well, hell, what the hell am I supposed to do? You're not putting us in a better position. We didn't really necessarily hear those fights all the time, but I could kind of tell that's what it was. And me doing the postmortem analysis, that's what it was. He wasn't doing what he was supposed to be doing. And she didn't feel like she had the support, but I don't think she held it against him publicly in front of us. She would never talk bad about him in front of us, even if he was doing some bullshit. Later, I found out that she felt like she should have left a long time ago, but she still didn't badmouth him too much. But she was going to the Minnesota School of Business, and she had an Office 97 book or some kind of office book or some books. And I'm going to see if I still got the books over my grandma's, because I want to show y'all that too, if she still has it. So now, she's going out to the Minnesota School of Business. This was kind of getting close to the time I noticed when it was about to be over, because he was making a issue of it. Something happened. I don't know what it was, why it was a problem. But she was going out there. She was learning this program. The program was kind of hard. It was way out, and I think it was in Edina. It was somewhere where, and eventually I think she took a bus or whatever on her own. Because my mom was kind of independent in a sense where I'm going to just go do what I need to do. She had no problem hopping on the bus. She would do it all the time. Man, she started going out there. Eventually she started getting herself together. And it became a problem. I don't know what it was or what his issue was, but he had no reason. And I think it was out in Richfield by Best Buy. So, them buses run funny out there. And she's going out there in the cold, bringing in all these damn books. She had a little thing, and she shouldn't have had to go out there on the bus. So But she still didn't say anything. She still didn't say anything that was wrong or whatever, but I knew there was some issue. She eventually started a program and started working. And I think she got an internship or a job at the U of M. So my mom was real good at that clerical stuff. I learned how to use a typewriter with her at 1.2. So she was doing the best she could, whatever the case may be. This is the story, and that's why this story is important from my life, the adventures of DP, how I became DP. This was when I learned IT to the fullest extent. When I started learning about megabytes and motherboards and the North Bridge and the South Bridge, I read the whole damn book. She sent me upstairs to go get a purse somewhere. And I remember it was a sunny day. I never forget it. Pulled the little light switch. I'm reaching for the purse. Bam! Right on my foot. Oh, shit. Oh, what's that? Oh, Lord. Because it's a heavy-ass book. And it's not, it didn't break my foot or nothing like that, but you don't, you know the corner? Let me see. You know, this is CD. Now, this is light. This is a David Banner CD. This shit falls on your foot and hit the corner. If it lands on the corner, you won't be like, damn, that kind of hurt. But a big, thick-ass book with the corner. Boom. Oh, hell. Ah. My mom's like, what's going on up there? What happened? Nothing. Oh, shit. Ah, fuck. I sat down for a minute. I'm sitting on the carpet. Got my legs folded. Like Dow Sim, Yoga Flame, Yoga Fire. I'm sitting up there like Dow Sim from Street Fighter Turbo. Yoga Flame. I'm sitting up there like this. And I'm just kind of, I kind of look at the book like this. I pick up the book. I said, oh, because I had already been kind of tinkering a little bit. I didn't know none of this shit. None of these things, I've never been exposed to any of this terminology. But I had the wherewithal to open up computers, and I was, you know, I was a tech person in the neighborhood. That was the person that I was into these kind of things, and I read a lot. So me cracking that book open, I got that shit right away. I started reading this book. Now, mind you, I'm supposed to be downstairs bringing my mom her purse and everything else. I'm not doing none of that shit. I'm totally neglecting my duty. I was supposed to have brought her a purse or whatever. So I'm sitting up there maybe an hour. You know, maybe she started doing something else or was watching TV. So I'm sitting up there for an hour in the closet, just reading. I crack open the whole thing. First thing I do when I open up a book, what's the tables of contents? I want to know what I'm looking at. That's the first thing I would do. You got to keep in mind, when I was growing up, I didn't understand certain words. So I would have a mini Webster's dictionary. And then if I didn't know the word, I would look for the word. A lot of times I just read the dictionary from front, not front to back, but you know, I would read it and learn a couple words, and I'll turn it to a couple pages. And that's how I used to get a vocabulary. I don't read as much as I do, so my vocabulary is kind of decreased. But I would look at the words and I'd be like, oh, I never knew what that meant. And I try to pronounce it or whatever the case may be. And so I didn't need the dictionary for this. This defined it exactly what I needed. This was like a tech dictionary. So I'm reading this and I'm looking at it and I'm like, wow, that's what megahertz means. Gigahertz, those computers weren't around just yet commercially. So that GHz, gigahertz, I don't think that was around. It was megahertz back then. So that was still a big thing. We talking about the 90s, y'all. 96, 97, 98, something like that. I gotta see. I gotta ask my brother. I'm gonna text him in a minute and ask him, like, man, do you still got mom's books? I need you to find them books because I want to see. So now I'm looking at the book for a whole hour. I'm reading chapter 1, chapter 2, and I'm just like, oh, a hard drive, this, that, and stuff. I said, I figured all this stuff was in there, but I never opened. I never knew what each thing was called. So there was nobody in my age group that had that conversation. To a certain degree, I was a pioneer in my neighborhood. I was the first person that really brought the terminology of this stuff in my neighborhood, in my age group, in the Cedar Riverside, West Bank area. Among us, I was the one that pretty much said, hey, look, man, you can make some money with this shit. You dig? You can make some money with this shit. So I'm sitting there looking at it. And once I got that, I said, okay, this is what I'm about to do. This what I'm about to do. I said, yeah. I said, I'm about to learn how to do this. And that's when I started to kind of burn my computers and stuff. But that's the Minnesota School of the Business is the reason why I got in computers. That book accidentally, and I probably would have got into it anyway, but that book that hit my foot, that I started reading. And I asked my mom, could I have that book? She must have, because a lot of times with classes like that, that's just an introductory. And she wasn't going to be involved in that. That kind of like discouraged her. She was more to the office applications and stuff like that. So she was good at that. But the tech stuff, she was like, man, I said, Mom, could I have this book? She was like, I was going to throw it away. I said, no, don't throw it away. I want it. And so she gave it to me. So anything that I kind of wanted to do, she would be supportive of it. My dad would support it to a certain degree. He didn't push anything, though. He didn't really say, well, yeah, you should try this, try that. There was really no push or no advocacy. It was just kind of go to work. And I was having a conversation with one of my homies about how, like, our parents, they didn't really tell us about the John Henry Clarks or the Cress Weldings or the Booker T's, you know what I'm saying, or the Harlem Hellfighters, and they didn't really tell us about these stuff, and, you know, the J.A. Rogers, and they didn't tell us about technology and all these kind of things. And I was sitting there listening to a podcast the other day, and it used to bother me because I've been having these conversations with my homies sometimes, like, man, why ain't they tell us this stuff? Why ain't they push us? Why ain't they advocate? And I was thinking about something the other day, and I was watching a David Banner podcast one day with these guys, and he was talking about how, like, I think it was Shannon Sharp and Banner, and he said, you know, the reason why our parents didn't tell us, they didn't have time. And I said, you know what? That makes sense. They didn't have time, or they just wanted us to kind of figure it out, or they didn't really, you know, they weren't intuitive to, like, open, like, we wanted to know stuff. We're the information stage people. We were the archivers. We were the people that dug up. We were the ones, our generation was the one that said, when we come into Washington, we getting our check. We were the ones that uncovered that, because that same conversation was had prior to when we were born. People heard it. You see what I'm saying? The generation before us and that, before that, they were talking about the we shall overcome, keep your head low shit. We wasn't talking like that. We didn't. I remember one time, I told y'all this story all the time. When We Shall Overcome came on the TV, my mom said, cut that shit off. So she was a little different. We Shall Overcome came on. She seen niggas marching and getting their ass kicked, and We Shall Overcome. And she said, man, turn that shit off. And I started laughing. She said, I'm serious. She said, ain't gonna be no subservient We Shall Overcome bullshit playing in our house. She said, I hate that damn song. So that spirit, that Nat Turner spirit started kind of early with me. I'm going to school talking about 40 acres. I didn't know how to say it, but I'm going into school like that. When she did that to me, there was We Shall Overcome that was playing on the TV, and there was marching and doing all that. She said, turn that shit off. She said, and I could tell it irritated her because she said, turn that shit off. She said, turn that shit off. She said, I hate that song. And I said, Mom, why don't you like the song? She said, man, that old subservient nigga shit. She said, turn that shit off. And she walked over and cut the button like, and turned it off herself. Turned it. She said, don't play that shit in this house ever again. And she started explaining. She said, that old subservient nigga shit. She said, no, we don't do that. We don't do that. Somebody touch you, you hit them back. She said, don't never let nobody put their hands on you. She said, you got my permission. She said, don't start nothing, but if somebody touch you, you hit them back. My dad was telling me, you know, you can't get suspended from school, but my mom would pull me, you knock their ass out. Don't let nobody touch you. Somebody hit you and you got to go tell the teacher. She said, you beat their ass. She said, I'll fight them for you. You know, but see, my dad was 20. My dad was 50. My mom was 30. So he's coming from the generation where you just, you know, I understand where he was coming from. Like, his thing was, if there's a school shooting and you're a good student, the teachers will protect you and stuff like that. And he didn't really have much education. So he's like, education's the way. There's no specifics like, okay, go to school for what? What are you going to go to school for? That wasn't the conversation. It's just go to school. Do I got to have good grades? No, just go. So he never looked at our report card. Well, Derek got a D. He's failing. Okay, did he go to school? You know what I'm saying? As long as you go, that's all he cared about. So you couldn't talk to him about taxes. He ain't give a fuck about no taxes. He ain't paying them. I'd never seen him pay taxes. He's not concerned about where you go to school. He's not concerned about a book and what you reading. Just read it. You know, his thing was read books and read the Bible. That's it. I said there's no breakdown into, are we going to analyze this? No. Vote. I don't want to hear about no damn vote. Man, you talk to my dad about a vote, he looking at you crazy. Fuck voting. Work. You know what I'm saying? That was his philosophy. Don't give a damn about no damn vote. You couldn't talk to him about no Democrat or Republican. He's not going to have that conversation. Show up and work and stack your bread. That's what his thing, because he never saved no money. He said, save your money, son. He used to always say that. And I'm like, hey, that nigga don't never save no money. You save your money, son. Save it. Stack, work. Don't vote. Well, he didn't say don't vote, but, you know, you couldn't, there was no vote talk. The first time I voted, I think I went, my mom went to go vote, and I said, Mom, what's a Democrat? And nobody really talked about it too much. So, you know, first time I got to vote, I Barack for Obama's old tether ass. Mr. Kenyan, but ain't never did nothing for Kenya. Mr. Blue Lives Matter alert. Mr. You Thugs in Baltimore. I voted for his punk ass. Black president. Oh, he black. Check. Vote. I voted for that tether ass nigga. You see what I'm saying? I didn't care. Oh, yeah, he black. Vote. 5 minutes later, you thugs, and pull your pants up, and you need to vote for a black woman, and can't do nothing for you. You know, it's kind of hard. Here you go, Native Americans, $5 Indians. Here's $3 billion. Here you go, LGBT. Here's your DACA. Here you go. I can't do nothing for no niggas. No, can't do that. Vote. Don't boo. Vote. You know what I'm saying? So I was on that type of time. This is 2008. I'm like, oh, he black? Here you go. Vote. First black president? Oh, hell. Yeah, got him. Yes, we can. I was on it. Yes, we can. I wising up quick. I said, yes, we can, to you thugs in Baltimore. I'm like, damn, nigga. Pull up your pants. Wear condoms. Yeah, got to put condoms on. Damn, nigga. Y'all play that good. You got me. So, you know, that's the kind of, you know what I'm saying? So we didn't, but man, I'm telling you, the Minnesota School of Business, that was a life changer. That changed my life, man. The Minnesota School. That's one thing I'll say about the Minnesota School of Business. Eventually, to my knowledge, I eventually went to IPR. I was we were the prototypes. And at IPR, they eventually merged and went over to the Minnesota School of Business. I don't think IPR might still be around, but it's not in downtown Minneapolis no more. They moved out to the suburbs. But I remember IPR when they were still getting stuff together in the building. Like, that was a hard thing. I got to mix and master the same shit they was using with Prince, master mix and all of that, man. And I met a few people there. I gave y'all the story on that. I met Sandman there. He ended up getting a job. Sandman's a nigga from Minneapolis. He kind of was rapping kind of like Bone and them and stuff, tall, real cool. You know what I'm saying? Real cool dude. You know what I'm saying? Me and him used to talk a lot. You know, he used to crack me up. He was pretty cool, you know what I'm saying? But he used to, and a nigga could make some cold beats. So that's when I met Sandman. So we were up in there for a little while. I think he's from the north side too. So we were at IPR, and you know, the Minnesota School of Business, I think they merged with IPR around that time. So that's my story on the Minnesota School of Business. And you know, I'll upload that too. So we might do one more, but I think we're pretty much good for today, man. We're gonna have about 4 stories. We got about 4 stories. I might do one more today. So I'm not sure. But if I do, I'm gonna upload these first. So our subscriber base is growing. I'm gonna try to keep the stories a little shorter. And I'm probably going to start taking more into my car, because the quality, I think, is a little better. It's actually much better. The audio may not be as good, but going through StreamYard, it diminishes the quality a little bit. But there's something in StreamYard I think I'm gonna try. It might take me a little longer for you guys to get this stuff, but it allows me to save the audio tracks. So it's gonna directly get my voice. I think it'll still go through the computer and the podcast machine until I get my podcast machine back up. But in a sense, it's quicker than my Rodecaster, because the Rodecaster, you gotta get the audio, then you gotta re-download, and then you gotta upload it, and oh man, it gets a whole bunch of it's a lot. It's a lot. But I would as y'all see, like, here's where my hypocriticalness comes in again. Y'all know how much I'm so slow on technology. I'm fast on it, but I'm slow on it because I feel like it's detrimental to us in the end. I'm going to use Brother Chat. I've been using that because, like I said, when I wrote that second book, I tore my hands up. My carpal tunnel, it feels like my hands going to fall off all the time. They're always in pain. They hurt all day, all night, all day long. They never stop hurting. I'm in constant pain all the time. So, like, when I'm typing and I'm doing these little programs and stuff like that, I don't really say anything to y'all about it. But like when I wrote my second book, I destroyed my hands because I was typing and typing and typing and going through all them scholarly articles. So I hope y'all enjoy the second book because my hands are permanently damaged. So I hope it was worth it. I hope somebody gets something up out of it. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, it'll get better. I'm going to use the AI now to make little videos of the people that I want to talk to. And I'm telling y'all, and y'all should use it too. If you could save you some bread or whatever, this is going to come anyway, y'all. They said, well, you know, influencers. I've been hearing this thing now. Well, influencers ain't going to have no job because the AI going to tell all the information. Most of the influencers, y'all ain't talking about shit. We just on here talking shit. Y'all ain't talking about shit. So, yeah, if the AI, you better come with some content. You better have some charisma like me, nigga. Otherwise, you gonna have a bot. Timberland, they said, got an AI bot going on. I couldn't believe it. I guess he said, I don't want to deal with no artists. This dude is gonna make an AI rapper. Did he sell us out? That's a good question. We'll do a story time on that.